welcome back to Beat Schematics. I'm Joe Hanley. This is part 2 of Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind. In part 1 we did drums and bass, and now we're going to get into some of the other instruments like piano and stuff like that. Again, all the Reason files and MIDI files are available to download at www.joehanleymusic.com/beatschematics. But again, if you're not a Reason user, don't worry about it. I'm not using anything unique to Reason. You'll be able to follow along with your own setup and software. So here we go. Alright, so we've got the bass. There's one other layer that you could kind of hear, and it really makes a difference. It sort of sounds like a bunch of saxophones, like a brass band, but it's definitely kind of warped and sort of synthesized. And so I added a brass layer. We're starting with just a real kind of cheap sample. Doesn't sound very good at all, but it has that sort of really bright metallic quality we need. First thing we do is we change the sample start time to later in the sample to get rid of that initial horn sound. Now it almost sounds more like a sort of a synth in a way. Which is what we want. We don't want you the listener to know there's like a actual horn playing or a horn sample. Next thing we want to do is, again, we don't want this to sound like a human instrument. We want it to just sound like a sort of a synth. So we're taking away its response to how hard I hit the key. That way it's just a flat, sound, same level, same filter, no matter what. Next, it's way too bright and buzzy. So we're going to bring the filter envelope down to about here. So it sounds like this. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Try it again. Okay. Good. And then we just got to change the amplitude envelope to 0.64. These are Reason settings. It's kind of annoying. They don't actually tell you frequency numbers or volumes, so you just kind of have to ballpark it. Just go by eye from what I do. Yeah, so basically we want the amplitude envelope to imitate the basses so that they sound like one instrument, decaying in the same way. This particular sample is kind of stereo. We want it just in the center of the mix, so I'm turning on a stereo imager and cranking all the way to mono. You will probably have a plugin. If you're not using Reason, you might have a plugin that is called something else, but essentially there's a lot of plugins that affect the stereo width of a sound. We want this one to be very mono. So it's in the middle with the bass. And again, we want this synth to be even more metallic than it is right now. So we add something called unison. It's kind of like a chorus, actually. I tried chorus earlier, and this particular chorus didn't work right, so I used unison instead. If you don't have a unison plugin, which you probably don't, then just try chorus, and you can get the same sort of, chorusy effect. And that's brass. It plays almost the same thing as the bass. Starts with the B. B, E, same thing, the octave F sharps. It does not do this next C sharp that the bass does. It just sort of waits and then like that. So it's almost the same, just no C sharp. Here we go, one measure out. And cut it, loop it. Okay, next is one of the pianos. There's actually two pianos going on. The one you probably hear, it's up high. We're gonna do the other one. It's hidden. It's kind of buried in with the bass and that brass thing we just finished up. You can really hear it during the verses of this song. It's just this like super squashed, mangled, distorted, compressed piano, and I'm gonna show you how to make that right now. I started with a real plain and simple piano sound. It's just a basic piano sound, nothing special about it. And the first thing we want to do is compress the life out of it, just squash the crap out of it. And in fact, what happens is, you see that long release, it actually kind of gets louder. It makes it longer. And it makes it just sort of small and contained, much less dynamic. I've got the input gain here cranked, so I'm hitting the compressor as hard as I can. Threshold again all the way down so that no matter how loud or quiet I play, the compressor's going to slam down on it. The ratio's high, 14 to 1, so it's going to slam down it hard. The attack is as quick as I can be, because I'm not trying to increase the attack of this piano, I'm just trying to squash it right the minute it plays. And the release is long, so it has a nice long tail to it. And I had to increase the output gain because this quieted the sound. Next is distortion, and you want to look for like a really just low quality, lo-fi distortion. This one, for reasons, called full back distortion, and it's really digital and grainy, and that's kind of the sound we're going for. Yeah, a really unattractive sound by itself. I've got it cranked, the amount's all the way up, and this knob is just different styles of distortion. Whatever you want to just find some kind of cheap distortion and tweak it until you get that sound. Next, piano samples are almost always in stereo. If you're wearing headphones right now, you're here on the right and left. We want it to be mono, because again, it's part of that whole bass brass thing in the center. It's like one sound together. So we're going to turn on the stereo imager and crank it to mono. As I said in the previous Beat Skematix video, if you don't have something called stereo imager, you'll probably have something that affects the stereo width of a sound. Put it on there, strap it to mono. And that's the piano sound right there. Now it's a little too long. Like if I press a key, it goes on forever because of the compressor. So I'm actually going to come back up to the amp envelope on the sampler. And I'm going to reduce the hold to, what am I doing that to? 1.09 seconds. And the decay to 5.35 seconds. So it goes away a little faster. We don't want it to be filling up the entire song. Now the part, how to play the part. We've got a few chords. Starts with this B major 7 chord. B, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp. And then it moves to, excuse me, this kind of, well, it's a another B major 7 chord. B, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp, D sharp, F sharp. Plays that twice. Then a big F sharp major chord. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, F sharp. And then 2 more chords. Same chord again. Then all the F sharps in this chord move down to F. So F, A sharp, C sharp, F, A sharp, C sharp, F. And after that, you're back to that original chord. Back to the B. So here we go. Cut it and loop it.